I'd like to take a minute to thank everybody for coming out to see our presentation today. We are the Green Team. I am Ryan Smith from Natchitoches, Louisiana.
I'm Ann Mullins, a landscape architect from Colorado.
I'm Sue Weaver from Natchitoches with Louisiana Trust.
Erin Michelle Brush, Foundation for Historical Louisiana.
I'm Ray Schreiber with Louisiana Main Street in the Division of Historic Preservation here in Baton Rouge.
Travis Rotterman, the Arkansas Historic Preservation Program, Little Rock, Arkansas.
Our project was the UEP Long Field House and Swimming Pool. This is a beautiful 1930s iconic structure of LSU's campus. We feel it's prime candidate for adaptive reuse and a viable structure. Our vision for the UEP Long Life Center, as we're calling it, is a healthy living center for the underserved and vulnerable populations of East Baton Rouge Parish. The center will also serve as a special events facility to generate revenue for Louisiana State University. Our primary objectives were to preserve the historic resource, provide essential public services and university revenues, and perpetuate those community services and revenues to make the project viable over the long period. So what are the uses for this facility? We're looking at education, recreation, and special events. And who are our primary users? Louisiana State University, the greater East Baton Rouge Parish community, and a host of partnering institutions and foundations. And right now I'd like to turn it over to Ann Mullins to identify our primary stakeholders for this project.
Hi, thank you also. We spent the last week interviewing numerous community leaders and have gotten just a wealth of information. And as an aside, for those of you who have participated in the process, thank you very much. It's been very educational for all of us. So the next step, if this project goes forward, is the first step would be to identify the stakeholders. The first group, most obviously, would be LSU. And we're talking about the students, the faculty, the recreation department, athletics, facilities management, perhaps food services, pretty much the entire LSU population, because we need their support. They're all potential users of this project. The next group of stakeholders that we'd want to identify and include in the planning process is the public. The city of Baton Rouge, and particularly adjacent neighborhoods, such as the Old South Baton Rouge neighborhood. And we have the map here just showing the adjacency of this neighborhood, and actually not the whole Baton Rouge metro area, but we wanted to point out the importance of asking this neighborhood to join us in their planning process. In addition, any city offices that are invested in this type of development, the parks, the park system, anyone who's dealing with transportation, particularly pedestrian and bicycle transportation, people who are working on the Greenway along the Mississippi. We consider that a really important link between the UEP Long Living Center and the downtown of Baton Rouge. And other organizations, such as the Downtown Development District. These would be people we'd want their support, and perhaps they could help us with marketing in the future. The last group of stakeholders we would want to address involved in our planning process is the private sector. Individuals, foundations, corporations. We will need to have funding to rehabilitate the building, and perhaps in the first few years some funding to help with the operating costs. And what we need to do is make this project attractive to a potential donor, meaningful, really have it merit their attention and possible donation. The next step in this, after you've identified all these hundreds of stakeholders, is to have a series of meetings, public meetings, and I won't outline the details. But again, these would all be convened to get more information, verify the assumptions we've made through this week, and help us test different scenarios. Now, I'm sure many of you have been part of some of these consensus building efforts, and they really are very, very effective at helping a group arrive at a development solution that is appropriate for the site. Now, to the building itself, that, and then can I have you, Travis? So, the Huey P. Long Field House and Pool is a really iconic structure on the campus and can be even more so with its rehabilitation into the Long Life Center. The building is treasured for the memories it holds, for the classical architecture. It's centric to the university's social life and architectural heritage. So we've decided to rehabilitate it and revitalize it in this very important health living center, which is also can be a magnet for the university and the city of Baton Rouge for healthy living in practice and education. So we followed our first three principles of preserve the building, provide services for the university and the city, and hopefully these will be there in perpetuity. Then the three elements that we need to get in there for healthy living: education, nutrition, and exercise. So for the education, the Department of Kinesiology, which needs additional space, will move into the rehabilitated racquetball courts. We've split those into 2 levels, put windows on the side, created additional classrooms, and research space for exercise. The old women's gym, I'd rather call it the former women's gym rather than old women's gym, but the old women's gym can be converted into a cardiovascular exercise room. These rooms can be converted into different types of exercise rooms. Perhaps one is a 2-story climbing wall. So we can fulfill our goal of education through the kinesiology department, their use of this facility, but also in our effort to maximize the use of this facility, this resource. This also can be shared with the public. The exercise rooms shared with the other users from the university and users from the public. In terms of nutrition, perhaps there's a partnership with the School of Agriculture and their nutrition program. We can be growing in planters and kind of window boxes along the upper. This is a jogging track around the central space. You know, some kind of education. Maybe there's a working kitchen for the kids and some type of growing area to learn more about nutrition. Finally, recreation. The pool will be rehabilitated to current codes. The rest of the outside landscape restored. And particularly wonderful would be opening up the arcade so there's a view out to the west and opening the center again to the campus, the rest of the campus. The last part of the building renovation to produce additional revenue is to make it flexible and adaptable to other uses. So we're proposing a decking system which could go over the pool, the central space, additional supplementary flex rooms that could be used for various events, whether it's tailgating for games, a venue for the city's film festival, you know, an additional venue for the film festival, alumni gatherings, just various events that couldn't use the pool. And of course, we did have events for the pool also. As one suggested event was an evening dive-in movie as opposed to drive-in, and this is apparently popular around here. So anyway, so that's what we're striving for, is a mixture of educational and recreational and revenue-producing uses. And now, Ryan will tell you how we're going to finance all this.